morning. Well, I hope you are all doing okay. There's a lot of intense things going on at the moment in the world that's creating a lot of conflict, pain, suffering. And I just thought it would be nice to share my practice, which is a daily practice for me. But this in particular was a practice that I started about a month before lockdown. And this practice was to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. So as humanity, we tend to go search, we're pleasure seekers, so we search for comfort and pleasure to help us feel good. But in that process, we kind of distract ourselves from the uncomfortable, divert our attention in any way we can, so that we don't feel the pain and the suffering and the uncomfortableness. And I noted about myself, like I said, a month before, it's happened, most of my life I've tried to avoid uncomfortable situations, confrontation. And I noted that when I was feeling uncomfortable about something, I very quickly try and alter it. So whether that's I try and change someone's point of view about something so that I feel more comfortable, or I try and change the situation. I try and remedy it as quickly as possible so that everybody, well, mainly myself, feels comfortable in the situation. And I realised that I was kind of dishonouring myself in a way, because here I was feeling uncomfortable, I was feeling frustrated, I was feeling angry, all of those emotions that we all experience. And yet I did not want to be with it, did not want to be with those feelings because they were uncomfortable. I wanted to be back to my status quo where I felt comfortable. So my practice was, every time that I felt uncomfortable, was to just allow myself to be in it, and just noticing it. So whenever it comes up, whenever I feel tension in my body, tightness in my stomach, whenever I feel pain, whether that's physical pain or emotional pain, whenever I feel like, whether that's coming face to face with somebody and something is triggered within me, and I feel tense, and I feel suddenly my balance within myself is disturbed. So I very quickly feel like I need to get back to my state of balance, which is important, that we maneuver ourselves back to a state of balance and inner peace. But first, it's important that we acknowledge that pain, acknowledge that tension, acknowledge that anger, acknowledge that fear, whatever it is, and allow it. Accept that that's the way that you're feeling in that moment, and that's okay. It's very easy to go into our stories, when we start to feel pain, when we start to feel hurt, when we start to feel sadness. It's really easy for us to get lost in our stories. why do I feel this pain? Why do I feel this sadness? Oh, it's because this happened when I was a child, or this happened when, when I was a teenager, or, my heart got broken. All of these things that create these emotions in life. So it's important to kind of note where your triggers, where your root of the suffering and pain comes from, where your triggers come from, that, when people, when you feel triggered in the presence of someone else or in a particular experience, that they're not making you feel like that way. It's how you are reacting to them or the experience, how you're feeling, and that is rooted usually in past experiences. So the past, it takes you, those strong feelings take you back to the past, a past experience. But what I'm talking about is staying present and not getting lost in those stories, because we've all got stories, we've all got pain from the past, we've all got sadness and grief and all of these emotions we've all experienced. And some of us have experienced trauma. I'm not saying that these aren't all valid. These are all valid experiences and stories and things that have happened to us. But the moment we go back to the past and attach ourselves to our stories, identify ourselves with our stories, we become stuck in the past. We're no longer able to cope with life in the present. So my practice was to, and still is, to note, acknowledge when I'm feeling these strong, intense feelings, and just, take a deep breath and be aware that is just a feeling. What I tended to do, which was really helpful, was to, as I was witnessing and observing myself, to just say, if it's anger, there's anger, or there's frustration, and not suddenly go back into your stories, just being right there in the moment. Anger, frustration. And then you're here in the present, and you're also allowing yourself to feel the way that you feel. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling those feelings. It's just part of the big picture. It's part of who we are. The light and the dark. One resides within the other. We can't experience the comfort and the joy and the pleasure without the pain, the suffering to gauge it against. There isn't one without the other. So it's allowing ourselves to be here in the moment with all the pain and all the suffering, and also feel the joy and the beauty in every moment, because life holds both. And it's how we cope with stress and how we cope with these strong, intense feelings that make the difference to our health and well-being, mostly. So each day, for me, I spend a few minutes each day. That could be 10 minutes to half an hour to an hour, whatever you're feeling that you need. And also getting into the habit of saying to yourself, what is it that I need today? How do I feel? and allowing yourself to feel how you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry. There's so much in the world to feel angry about, but not getting lost in that anger, not letting that anger to infiltrate you and cause you to act and behave in an angry way. And that, I find, if you're acknowledging how you're feeling in that moment, then it's no longer suppressed. It's no longer an intense energy that's suppressed and pushed down in the body. It's you've allowed it to come up to the light, so that it can be expressed. And actually, when you do that, it becomes lighter, it becomes less intense. So my practice is to allow myself to feel the pain, feel the suffering, feel the grief, feel the loss. And as those emotions come in waves throughout, particularly now with what's going on in the world, we can feel overwhelmed with all these intense feelings and not know where to turn or what to do for the best. And the only thing that you can do is to be present with yourself, and in that way you help lots of people, because you're not caught in your head, you're in your heart, and energy is flowing. When you're in your heart space, energy is flowing and you feel freer and clearer and more grounded. So every day, just allowing yourself a few moments to just breathe. Focus breathing, nice, slow, deep breaths. And it's not about trying to empty your head of thoughts. It's about noticing those thoughts, acknowledging those thoughts and how you're feeling, and just allowing yourself to feel them, noticing them. Anger, frustration. And I know sometimes, you might think that I'm crazy saying these things. How can you feel calm when you're angry? It is a practice, and sometimes we do feel so angry we want to throw things, and you want to shake someone, and that doesn't do any good. You need to express those feelings in a really calm, balanced way. And by acknowledging how you're feeling, every time you feel overwhelmed, every time you feel frustrated, every time you feel angry, honour yourself. Give yourself a few moments, take a few breaths, put your hand on your heart and just allow yourself to be here right now. Allow yourself to feel all those feelings. They're all valid and they're all part of the big picture. We can't live in a world where everything is joyful and peaceful, and that peace and that joy comes from within you, and then your world becomes different, your surrounding world becomes different because of how you view the world. So I just wanted to share that because it's really helped me. Had I not begun this practice before lockdown, I might have found lockdown more challenging than I have. But I can feel it. I can feel the waves of emotion from everybody around me, and all over the world. I can feel the intensity of what's going on. And I don't watch the news. I don't read newspapers. I don't listen to the news. I know what's going on in the world. I can feel it in my whole body. I can feel the pain. I can feel the suffering. So remember, it's a collective. We're all connected, and we all feel each other's pain, and we all feel each other's suffering. Nice, slow, deep breaths. And just allow yourself to be here right now. All of us together.